don't even know if I'm allowed to say like your full name because I feel like you go by Halite Hunter
Yeah,
on everything now. So I just see
yeah,
Halite everywhere, but you're Hunter Frazier to me. So
yeah.
dude, I am so excited for this just because I mean we were working out together, going to class, like all of those things back in college. I even wrote down, I don't know if you remember this, but you were one of my leaders at Boys State, Oklahoma Boys
I,
State.
yeah, I do. I do remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all's like city at Boys State was the. Didn't y'all win?
Yeah, we
Y'all
won.
like
Yeah.
won. Yeah, y'all were cold at everything. So how could I forget?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But dude, it is so over 1 million on TikTok, 800K on one. Man, my camera always does this. Let me stop this real quick.
All good.
There we go. 800K on TikTok, or no, 1 million on TikTok, 800K on one YouTube channel, another 200K on
Yes.
another YouTube channel, 15K on
Yes.
Instagram. I saw another TikTok account that had 10K on it. You have
Yeah.
an absurd platform. I saw this question on another podcast and I want to ask it to you first. If you were in
Yeah.
an Uber and the Uber driver, like you're talking to the Uber driver, they ask like, okay, so what do you do? Like, how would you even describe what you have going on?
That's a fun question because I normally say content creator, but I've been leaning towards writer a lot more recently because I feel like whenever I say content creator, so I recently moved to North Carolina,
Yep.
just because I like love nature and stuff, and living in a big city like Dallas just was like a little bit
I
overstimulating for me,
I'm
and
there. I'm
so
there myself, honestly.
I had to get out. I really
Yeah.
did. Like I couldn't. There were too many times, not to go off on a crazy tangent, but living in a big city from like 3 to 7, you really can't leave your house unless you just want to waste time. And I hate
Yeah.
inefficiencies. So being around nature is great. But whenever I was moving, we were applying for houses, and I'm not kidding. On one application, we got denied because, and I quote, "I don't want them filling up my garage with ping pong balls." I was like,
Nice.
what do people think that I do? Like, and so,
Yeah.
content is, I feel like people really think that it's like an influencer or whatever, but I definitely don't look at myself like that. So I would say I'm a content creator. And then if they're like, ooh, what's that? Then I would expand more. But for different people, I say different things, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Cause it's a lot of everything. Like there's a lot of business and entrepreneurship and, but a lot of art. And that's why I like to lean into the most because whenever this becomes a business, it's like the most taxing thing on the planet.
Yeah.
It's trying to optimize entertaining people and making people feel good about themselves is it's a recipe for disaster, to be honest. But I'm sure we can talk more about that later.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's going to be a huge portion of what we talk about because so we went to school together too, and I don't even
Mhm.
remember what like caused us to start crossing paths again in school. Do you remember what it was? Was it like our mutual friend Dom, or how
Yeah,
did
it was
we start?
Dom.
Okay,
So you're anyone who doesn't know, Baker is absolutely giga jacked.
used to
And
be
me and Dom,
back in my
no,
prime,
no,
back
no,
in my prime,
you
maybe.
stop. You have an insane physique. I feel you on that though. Whenever you start getting more into it, there's just not as much time.
Yes, exactly.
But anyways, yeah, like you were huge, and Dominic and I just like admired your physique and like admired your work ethic. And then during the summer of COVID, like we had been chatting and stuff off and on just because I admired your physique. And then during the summer of COVID, we worked out together, and that was whenever like we became close. And then from that, it was how supportive of me you were and how
Mhm.
willing to um not shoot down any of my ideas. Like I just felt like you were such a supportive friend, and it was really rare to run into someone that like I didn't know you very well, and you were so
Yeah,
overwhelmingly supportive of my ideas that I became very close to you very quickly. And so it was like one of those relationships I know everyone can relate to where like we still don't talk very frequently, but like every time I do see you or your stuff pops up, like I'm always genuinely gassed
yeah,
because of what you did for me in a very vulnerable time in my life. Like I might not be in this position, and this sounds super melodramatic, but I truly might not be in this position if it wasn't for you, like in that time being so supportive of me and like making sure that I felt like I really could do it. Cause
well, yeah,
I feel like,
that's super
go ahead.
dramatic, but I think I
Seriously, like anything in its infancy. Like if you step on a growing plant in its infancy, like it has a much higher chance of dying than if you kick a tree. And
definitely, yeah.
so I was in a delicate place, and you were a great friend during that time. So I'd say that that's really how we became friends, and I'm super grateful for that. I was reflecting on that in the shower actually today. I was like, man, like Jake
I
was a
love being in your
great
shower
friend.
thoughts, man.
So
That means a lot that I can pop over in
yeah,
your head. Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
no,
sort of
dude, I
casually.
appreciate the kind words. It's I've always felt kind of drawn to people that are doing things that are just outside the norm as far as pushing themselves to just accomplish things. So I think
Yeah.
whenever you and I started I remember getting together and working out a ton. And, you know, we would always go the owner of that gym has actually been on the podcast, Chad, but going to
Hmm.
Kaizen Performance, which is like the local gym, and just getting in workouts during COVID and everything. And I remember you told me like you were doing this Twitch streaming thing. And I had, just like everybody, I feel like our age, gotten into watching Twitch streams. I was like, dude, no way. I'm about to start checking out your stuff. So seeing like all of the work, because I know just having like the background
Yeah.
that I had in editing and in social media and in all of that stuff, I know how hard all that stuff is. Not to the extent of like an everyday like life of a Twitch streamer, which I want to ask you about, but
Yeah.
like, I just know how much goes into all of it, into being a character,
Yeah.
into being out there in front of the world 24/7. So I just wanted to support you because you were not stopping. Like you were just doing it, you
Yeah.
know? And I'd had other friends that are like, yeah, maybe I should be a streamer. Like I think I could really make something out of this. You know, the guy that just plays Call of Duty, you know, 7 hours a night every night and then goes
Yeah.
to work the next day. They're like, maybe I could just get paid for gaming. And then they like do
Yeah.
3 streams and they stop. And I'm like, no, this dude's
Yeah.
really doing this daily and he's working really hard
Yeah.
at it. So I really appreciated that. That's what made me want to just
Thanks.
keep supporting you.
Yeah, I think that it's now that I'm here, if I would have there are like stages like with anything. Like 2 years ago, if I would have seen where I was at in the beginning, I would have been like, "Stop doing this." But now where I'm at, I recognize where that was such an incredible learning experience, and I use it to teach editors that work with me now on how vital the mindset that every single time, and if you go back on my Instagram, on TikTok, you cannot find them, but on Instagram, you can find my earliest uploads. They were atrocious. They were
I
not
was going
good.
through
They
all of
just
them
were.
today.
But every single time I upload, I was like, this is the one. And so like
Yeah.
that is what allowed me to get to where I'm at now, where like I can upload and if it doesn't get a million views, I'm like, it's a bad day at
Mhm.
the office. And
Yeah.
so it's like it's just corporate goalpost moving, you know. It just is what
Yeah.
it is. I'll just move the goalpost until the end of time at this point. But
Yeah. It's
I needed that time.
yeah, 100%. It's the hedonic treadmill, right? Like it's just always, we get desensitized to stuff once we accomplish it once,
Yeah.
right? Twice. And then all of a sudden it's like we have to do something new to kind of stimulate ourselves in the same way and get the same level of appreciation. So
Yeah.
I identify with that pretty heavy. Talk about the early days whenever you were really into, you know, streaming Modern Warfare and stuff like that. Like what, I don't think people can truly appreciate what the day-to-day life of of a streamer does look like. Like how often were you live? How long were you live on average? What are the things that you're doing to try to move the needle in terms of followers and stuff?
So I had a strategy that was relatively unique. So I was initially like I thought I was the next ninja. Like I thought
Yeah.
that I was gonna like be a competitive gamer streamer guy. But as time went on, I realized that I really enjoyed entertaining people more than I enjoyed being good at the game. And don't get me wrong, like I'm hyper competitive and I
Yeah.
really enjoy being good at the games. But as you get to a higher level of competing in these games, you realize how little competitive integrity there is within some of the gaming scenes. And so it's not even whether or not you are being cheated against or whether or not the system is fair. It really is a mental thing that you know it's a possibility. And so I was pretty disenfranchised from that in early COD. But I started off playing a game called Vigor. It's Vigor. It's an Xbox exclusive. No one who hears this should know what it is because it's
Yeah.
such a small game. But that was kind of the point, is that I could learn how to be a streamer. I learned how to talk to nobody. And that is what's so paradoxical about growth on the internet. And like, if anyone's looking for a key takeaway from this, I give it to you super duper early. What gets you to 1,000 followers isn't going to be what gets you to 10,000 followers. Isn't going to be what gets you to 100,000 followers. Isn't going to be what gets you to a million. But what gets you to 1,000 followers is what will get you from a million to 10 million.
Hmm.
Because whenever you first start streaming, there's nobody there. Whenever there's 10,000 people in the chat, there's nobody there. You can't have a conversation with individuals anymore. You just have to entertain. And so that's why that early stage is so vital, because it's so circular. It's very circular,
Hmm.
where it all comes right back. So the things that you learn very early on become the things that you have to be good at once again, later on. And so I think that even streamers who can do the day to day, which looked like I would stream 8 hours 3 days a week, and then the days in between, I would be making content and strategizing. So that's really what the early strategy looked like. But I think that what that time period taught me playing Warzone, I was literally streaming to like 10 people.
Yeah.
And so it's basically nobody, because like 4 of them are my burners, so just so I can move up but I was
Yeah.
looking at it the wrong way. I was looking at it like, if I just like have my burner up there, I'll go from 1 viewer to 2 viewer, and then that helps me go up the platform, rather than looking at it like every time I go live, it's an opportunity to create content and then market myself.
Got it.
And
Okay.
so I was just throwing anything against the wall that would stick. And then that kind of gets us to part two of the journey, which is when something sticks. And that's when everything's actually get scary. Like, that's the hard part about this. The guy that plays Call of Duty for 7 hours and decides to pop on the stream has literally nothing to lose.
Hmm.
So whenever you do have something to lose in content, oh my goodness gracious, it's like, and
Yeah.
it's really scary. So,
So
yeah,
what do you
dude,
mean? You
it
mean
is.
like something to lose, as in like you have an audience now, or what do you mean by that?
I mean, it's kind of the what did you call it? The hedonistic
Hedonic
cycle,
treadmill. Yeah.
hedonic treadmill. It is like, once that goal, but once you've accomplished more, it your standards have changed. But the thing that got you to that point was completely uncalculated. So, what makes me a content creator by trade is my ability to reverse engineer any video that I see.
Hmm.
So I can watch any piece of content, and we could do this if you wanted to. You could show me literally anything, and I could tell you exactly why it went viral. If it didn't go viral, why it didn't go viral. And if it did go viral, why it only has a certain amount of views compared to another video that has drastically more views than it. So I think
Wow.
that that's what kind of the evolution looks like. Is there's someone who's just throwing against the wall, and they're kind of actually, I would start it off as like, I'm in a stream, and then you don't have a schedule. And then once you get a schedule and you're like sticking to it and you're consistent, like, okay, like now we have something. And then
Hmm.
from there, you're throwing stuff at the wall, and then stuff sticks at the wall. And the difference between me and someone who also does this for a living, but like is endlessly paranoid, is they don't know why they're finding success. And so they can't
Wow. Okay.
replicate it. And so that's what the sauce really is if I have a meeting with a content creator who's like, man, I just need help, and I show them one of their videos that went viral, and I say, why does this go viral, and they can't tell me, I'm like, what are you doing all day? Like, what, like, this is your job, is to know this. And so what it takes is, and this is to put a nice bow on my initial early stages of just straight failure, is
Yeah.
it takes understanding that there are two ways to learn in content, and I would say in life, but I don't think that I have the credibility to go that far.
Yeah.
You either learn from someone failing and then they teach you, or you fail yourself and you learn from it. And so what content is and what life is, in my opinion, is just a bunch of failures, and that's it. And so the more open and able you are to failure, or to being able to fail, the quicker you will learn and the quicker you will grow, and life will be much, 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 much better. So that's what that early stage taught me, was that failure is actually a good thing. It
Yeah.
actually, it's the best thing. It's so important, because it's the only way that you can learn. And so I think that that's where a lot of creators, when they have something that they don't want to lose, they will close themselves off to failure. But being open to failure is what got them that initial thing in the first place. And so
Yeah.
that's that, like, you're just so afraid that you won't fail anymore. So then maybe it works for a little bit, maybe it only works once, but you certainly don't know why. And that's the difference there, is being open to failure and then learning why via um isolating variables. Hopefully
Yeah.
that makes sense.
No, that makes
I'm
total
looking at it
sense.
through a content lens, so I hope that I'm not like just yapping your ear off,
No, you're not. You're not. It makes a lot of sense actually.
Good.
And I think it's the same for because what I'm doing now pretty much all day every day is helping business owners
Mhm.
to build their business, right? Like to
Yeah.
help them to kind of further revenue or get more eyes on their stuff or so on and so forth, get more leads.
Yeah.
It's a lot of the same stuff, right? Like they'll wonder why they just had a crazy month or they just had a super low month in revenue. And
Yeah.
it's like, it's not because of, and they're like, well, last week I had a post that went viral or last week I had this or that. And I don't understand why this launch is now flopping. And it's like,
Mhm.
well, what's happening right now in your business, and this is where I'm kind of trying to draw the parallel. What's happening right now in your business is not necessarily because of last week or last month. It's what were you
Yeah.
doing 60 or 90 days ago that
That
now
was my
you're
exact
reaping the
thought.
rewards from? Yeah. And so
Yeah,
it's
because
like,
it's the basic rule of 7 in marketing. Like, the impressions that you've been gaining over the last 60 days, 90 days, 6 months, like, those are the people who are converting now.
yeah,
So that makes a ton of sense because I utilize that for, content. Like, that is the business side of content. So,
it is.
that makes a lot of sense that you're experiencing that with, um, other business owners and that your ability to have because that's how another reason why I knew you is because you had All Glory Apparel, and I thought it
Yeah.
was sick. I think I no, I don't think I applied. I definitely applied to be an ambassador of All Glory
Yeah.
Apparel, and
Yeah. I remember that.
I loved it, and so I've seen you work through a bunch of different businesses, and I hate that people will say like I'm not sure the status of any of those companies, but like let's say that they aren't operable anymore. People are like, oh, like I had all these failures, and it's like, well,
Yeah.
like not really because you didn't quit. It just things just evolve over time. Like I don't stream anymore, but like it was the natural evolution. Like I realized
Exactly.
like being live, I can't have as much control over the content, and so I can't entertain people in the same way. And so I always really admired watching you try and fail and try and fail and try and fail. And
Hmm.
at the time, I thought it was trying and failing, but like it was really just like I feel like in the same way that I have, like your stuff has just kind of evolved into a better thing, a better thing, a better thing. And like you
Yeah.
just like kind of cut the fat off.
Yeah. It's, I mean, every single business is in on paper. Yeah. All failures, right? Like a lot of them are.
Yeah.
But it's like All Glory Apparel was, whatever. I don't even remember what the revenue was with that, but it was like sub 10 grand that I made on that. Right.
Yeah.
And that was over the course like of the few years of me launching it from like high school to like middle of college. And I just
Invaluable
thought that was like,
experience though.
yeah, yeah. And I just thought that was like the craziest thing ever that like
Yeah.
$10,000, like you're gonna tell me
Dude,
that
at
something I
18?
did at $10,000. I was like, holy,
Yeah, like
and
that's
then
actually
and
crazy.
then like Ubora, right? Like the equipment company launching that and that doing more than that, more than $10,000 in the first year, doing 15, 30. Like
Yeah.
it's, I'm like, like one of my businesses just did this. And then launching the coaching
Yeah.
business, it's like we hit a 6-figure year last year. And I'm like, you're
Congrats.
telling me that it's and now I've got like so the latest thing that I've been working on, what you've been getting all the text from for like reminders for the
Mhm.
episodes and stuff is myself and another guy. We started a software company called AR Funnel, which is like the thing on my mug here if you're watching on YouTube. But it's a software company for fitness coaches to help them to like get more leads, and that's what I'm talking about. Like the business owners that I'm working with are all fitness coaches, so it's something that
Gotcha.
I worked on and developed for my personal training business, and then now we're doing like the same software for hundreds of other fitness coaches, and so that company 7 figures, right? Like so that's like the evolution. Like each
Let's
time you take
go.
something and yeah,
That's
each
electric. Oh
each
my
time you
gosh,
take something and
congrats.
thank you.
Holy cow, that makes me so happy.
No, it's been
Oh
awesome, but
my
it's like
goodness.
you
That's
take
so
these
awesome.
you're good.
Dude, I'm sorry. I didn't know that's so dude, I'm so proud of you genuinely. Like
I appreciate that,
that
bro.
makes me so happy.
I appreciate that. It's a wild thing, but it's what I'm trying to say is watching. It's just we're drawing a lot of parallels between like content and business, but each new business, you take all that expertise and all those things that you learned in the
Yeah.
last one into the next one, and you start 10 levels ahead of where you were, right? So like
Yeah.
everything just from the beginning is just better. And then you take that into your
Yeah.
next one, that into your next one, that into your next one. So it sounds like you're doing a lot of the same stuff. And I've always tried to be super calculated in how I go about content. And what are you laughing about?
Dude, the parallels are insane. Like,
It is.
I'm sorry, I have like a very pattern brain, so like I just like find patterns and everything. So
Yeah.
I'm just excited at how. So essentially, the reason why I became an IRL content creator is because I worked with the Bentis. I don't know if you know who the Bentis is. He has like
Mm-mm.
15 million on TikTok, 20, 30 million on YouTube. Huge. He
Okay.
does my Invisalign. And so that's why
Okay.
I get like sometimes I look over and look at my Invisalign. It's like a little reminder. But he literally, I swear, was recording TikToks on his phone and
Hmm.
destroying everyone. Like he
Yeah.
just did not, like he didn't put any effort into it. But everyone has teeth. And so literally everyone could watch his videos and relate to them. And I was like, why am I making gaming videos? This is so dumb. And then I started making IRL videos, and my most popular video has over 80 million views.
Wow.
And so it's like you take all of the stuff that you learn and you just scale it, and you are able to get it to more people. And I feel like that's what you've done is
Hmm.
now like it's not that you're doing anything different. You're just doing it where it's a lot more accessible to people. Like
Yeah.
you're not confining your business to a singular product. Like now you have numerous and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like your solution can affect numerous different niches,
Yes.
which is why, yeah, exactly. And so like I can make a video about literally anything. Like I have a video about me having small hands. I have a video about shorts. I have a video about me, like I have a horror video that has 9 million views. And so that's what I think is really, really cool. And why I'm so excited for you is it's just like I know that feeling of whenever you like see it and everyone thinks you're dumb. And they're
Hmm.
like, like, why, Hunter? You have a YouTube channel with over 200,000 subscribers. Like, why would you try to do IRL? And like, you can see it. And everyone
Hmm.
thinks you're crazy. And so I'm sure that you had that. And so I just really felt connected to you in that moment. And I was just so
Yeah.
happy for you for like going, because you have that six figure, and it's like, dude, like, what are you dumb? Like you've got the thing here, but like you were able to like let it like pursue failure again and like let it go and not just like squeeze onto the little bit of
Yeah.
successes you had. And so like it was just a joyful moment for me to like, I don't know, I just felt like really connected there.
I appreciate
That
that,
was
bro.
just really beautiful.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that. I appreciate that. No, it is really there are a lot of parallels there, and I've never heard someone talk about the content side of things as technical as you just were. So I do want to get from even like the streaming perspective, from the YouTube perspective, from the TikTok. I want to get like kind of your heaviest hitter like advice, right? Because I think a lot
Mm-hmm.
of the people that listen to this are entrepreneurs or at least aspiring entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And at the very, very, very basic kind of audience level that I've got, they're just interested in personal development, and a big part of
Yeah.
that I've always talked about on the podcast is putting yourself out there. Um,
Yeah.
so talk about because from the outside looking in, whenever I was watching you do the streaming thing, right, which was I guess
Mhm.
ended around a year ago now.
Yep. Right around there.
Watching you
Little
do
over.
that, it looked like you were just like, it was like I remember when you hit 1,000 followers, and it was the
Yeah.
craziest thing ever. And I remember celebrating that. And then
Yeah.
remember when you hit 10K and then you hit 20K. Like it from the outside looking in, it was like, okay, Hunter is like he's going crazy in this streaming thing,
Yeah.
right?
No
So
idea
when you
what I was
talk,
doing.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
when you talk about that being like a setback or a failure or like something that to learn from, what did that
Yeah.
look like in terms of like what type of money is there in streaming at the level that you were streaming at? Was that like enough to sustain you and kind of like help you think about new stuff? Like how did that even work?
By the point that I quit streaming, I had touched the highest level. So I'm
Okay.
working right now on a documentary. This isn't like super public, like I haven't publicized it yet because I'm working on
Yeah.
a documentary about it, but it's like I don't have to protect it. So like in 2022, the like March 2022, February 2022, Ludwig reached out to me, like Ludwig Agren, like the big YouTuber streamer,
Okay.
and basically mentored me for a month for a video. But that month turned into just like a relationship and a mentorship thing. And so that's really where everything changed. And so I had someone that just saved me years and years and years and years and years of time. And I'm extremely faithful um, um, to God. And so I think that now one of the things that is really important for me is to share as much information for free as I possibly can to everyone. Like I've had people be like, "Oh, like you should make courses, Hunter. You should like whatever."
Yeah.
And it was just given to me. Like Ludwig just gave it to me. Like
Mhm.
he wanted to make a video for it, but it was just like it was just there. And so um to give Ed yeah, okay. So to talk about the money side of streaming at that level, like to me it wasn't much, but like I had a month where I made more than the salary of my internship at ExxonMobil in
Okay.
1 month.
Wow.
Um, yeah, yeah, it was it's crazy, and the imposter syndrome is nuts because it's
Yeah.
like you don't change anything, and then you just like 10, 100,000 X. You're like, it was like I had nothing, then I had everything. And so, what I struggle with a lot in my personal life was, um, one, how much is enough? Two, what's like, why am I doing all of this? Because the most money I had in my pocket, that I was the least happy. And so that's why I kind of lean more towards the art side of stuff now.
Got it.
Because it like I was just so lonely once I had gotten to that level. So, on like my best stream that I ever had, I had like 20,000, 25,000 concurrents on TikTok,
Mhm.
which is like 25,000 people actively watching. So I had like 20,000 on just like the TikTok, like vertical streaming platform.
Okay.
And that's concurrent. So for anyone who doesn't know, that means like actively watching at one time. So I was like sustaining that. So like in that one stream, I was like 10,000 to 20,000, 25,000 peak concurrents. And then, so like that entire stream had like a million views. So like a million
Wow.
different people watching in one stream. Yeah, I was like easily the biggest like vertical streamer, at least in gaming in the United States for like a couple of months. And that is the dark side of content. We could talk about this. That was the worst. It was like one of the darkest periods of my time and like
Why?
making content, and everyone just copied me and just didn't care. Like it was
Mhm.
like this thing that I had curated over the course of a long time. So if anyone doesn't know, like if you've ever seen someone say I'm live right now on TikTok, that was I started that. And the way that I did it was extremely analytical. So basically, on all of these apps on social media, there's something called session time. So this is an analytic that you aren't able to see. You're not able to see from your videos how much session time your one video has created for someone. What you can see is watch time. Or average view duration if you're looking at YouTube. So you can get a feel for your session time. However, I can explain it like this. If I made a 15-second promo for a TikTok for my live stream, and then I got someone to watch my live stream for 2 more minutes, they just watched 8 more 15-second videos from
Yep.
my one video. So
Okay.
my 15-second video is going to get pushed more than every other 15-second video because I'm creating more session time than any other 15-second video,
Got it. Okay.
and the live stream is going to get pushed because I'm funneling so many people to TikTok live from the actual like endemic app. Maybe endemic's the right word, I'm not sure, but from the apps. And TikTok live was really wanting to push TikTok was wanting to push TikTok live at the time. And so I made it from 200,000 followers on TikTok, and in 2 months, like 10 weeks, I got to like 900,000 before someone found out about it.
Wow.
I literally was getting 10,000 followers a day, just murdering. And then one person found it. And I swear, if they didn't tweet out, I just cracked the code as if it was their thing. Like it
Yeah.
just didn't give a shit. And then, excuse me for cursing.
You're
Sorry
good.
for
You're good. You
cussing.
can say whatever you
No,
yeah. Yeah, you can say whatever you want. He
no,
is taking over
but
right now too. We can talk
yeah,
about
he's doing
him. Good
great.
God.
Yeah, that their strategies are really interesting, but
They are.
the people just take. And so that I went to Ludwig and I was like, I was so jaded because everyone was like on Twitter and on TikTok, everyone's arguing about whether or not like this was right for content or what was going on and how this strategy was so dumb, but literally no one was talking about me.
Mhm.
And so I tweeted out, I was like, so like y'all like my videos or like just memeing, but it was like watching like mom and dad fight over me. And it was just like this community of content creators that just took my baby. And the problem with it is like the way I would structure things, I would come up with an idea, I'd make a time barrier, and then there would be a stake affiliated with it. And
Mhm.
everyone was doing that, but not either like not doing the stakes or they would be super dumb. Like,
Yeah.
and so it just watered down the idea and the viewer exhaustion was insane. And so I was just like, man, I hate this. And I went to Ludwig and I was like, dude, like I don't know what to do. And he was like, listen, and this is the like Ludwig again, I'm at a very important time in my life where like I could have just quit. Not quit, but I it could have really changed things for me. And he was like, the sauce isn't your stupid strategy. Like you came up with this thing and it was really bright, but you came up with it. He was like, you're the sauce. They can never take your personality and your brain and what you do away from you. They
Mhm.
can take your strategies, but if anything, that's what makes you a content creator. And so that's what taught me that there are like two kind of professional content creators. There are people who like create and innovate. And so these are the people who you're going to see at the top all the time. You're going to
Yeah.
see your Ryan Trahans, your Mr. Beasts, those people who are doing something, Sam Sulik, who are doing something special and unique and they're not stealing from other people. And then you're going to see literally everyone else in content that just like rips from
Yeah.
everyone else. And so I that was the hardest lesson to learn. It was like almost a rite of passage where it was like, yeah, man, like you really did something special. This
Mhm.
is what happens when you do. And so it like kind of affected my faith in humanity. Like I was like, man, people just really do not care. And so
No. Yeah.
it was tough. And so that's kind of why I got out of the streaming side of stuff because my goal was to set out to create something that literally no one could copy. And
Yeah.
I think I've done that now with my IRL content. Like you can try, but it's just impossible because it's so personality based and I write it all and I record it all and it's all so goofy and off the wall and it takes from Hollywood and it's like all of these different medias and influences in my life put into one 60-second video or like a long form YouTube video. And so it was a very freeing experience, but that's why I got out of like if I'm making crazy money, like Hunter, why would you do that? It was like I saw the thing and I had this experience that literally no one else but like Ludwig and a couple other people would understand, which is
Yeah.
just everyone like copying your flow. It really hurt, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
That's crazy. Yeah, I didn't know any of that stuff.
Yeah.
That's wild, and
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense now. Why you decided to make this switch. So, talk about when you say IRL content, it's in real life, really is what that
Hmm.
stands for. But what
Yeah.
like how come you didn't make the switch to like IRL streaming and stuff, right? Because like all the biggest streamers now are more IRL streamers. How come you went
Yeah.
to YouTube and TikTok and things like that for that medium?
Yeah, so I had for a little bit, but I
Okay.
didn't find success in it.
I remember you
How do I
doing a couple
explain
of
this?
24-hour streams and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I had done so what happened was I started with Warzone, then I went to IRL streaming, and then I went to Fortnite and then Fall Guys, and I was just doing a bunch of different ideas, and that's like part of Ludwig's teaching is like it's just one video.
Yeah.
And that's where I really messed up is I basically did this ad with Fall Guys, and my ad did across all platforms, I think like 30 million views, which
Wow.
for an ad is quite good.
Mhm.
Um, for in terms of money, like you can expect that in per million views, if people don't know, like mid uh in the four-figure range to like the five figure. No, it would be like yeah, in the four-figure range to the five figures per million views.
Mhm.
Um and so like as you grow your portfolio, obviously you cost more and stuff. And so like it was
Yeah.
working so well that I was just like I was just hammering Fall Guys because Fall Guys was so hot and I was like the Fall Guys guy.
Yeah.
But then I was the Fall Guys guy and that's a huge issue.
Yeah.
And so to try to pivot to something else was um kind of just impossible. And if you go and look at my old Fall Guys, actually I've taken them off YouTube, but I think you can still see them on TikTok. Um, you can see that I kind of started to implement more IRL style into our Fall Guys videos. Like I was doing more B-roll that I was actively like not at the or not at the computer. Like I was like kind of getting into it, and then
Yeah.
we made a full blown IRL video on our gaming YouTube channel, and it just did horribly, even though it was a great video. And so we were like, we just have to make a new channel. And going away from streaming was I just really enjoy being able to curate content, and being live is fantastic. It's really fun. But you can't create the perfect end product that you want. And I was just finding a lot more joy in writing and creating something for the audience to enjoy versus the scrutiny of being live. Because the nature of live streaming is like basically everything's fake.
Yeah.
But like Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan didn't blow up a nuke. You know what I mean? It's all
Mhm.
kind of fake, but it's not. It doesn't have to be. And so I would get so caught up because I hate lying in proving to people that stuff wasn't fake, that it was just exhausting versus like a YouTube video. I don't have to worry about people's live
Yeah.
opinions derailing me from doing what I need to do, which is be entertaining.
Mhm.
Um, I could just get the comments back and then adjust. So that's
Yeah.
why I went towards making videos versus staying alive. Like, it's not that I didn't enjoy it; it's that I just wasn't able to do my best work, and so it was just like a necessity thing. Just kind of happened.
Hmm. That's super interesting. With the trend towards like IRL streaming and stuff and just
Hmm.
chatting type of categories, I saw, Gary Vee's always recommending like what he thinks is going to be the latest and greatest, like biggest thing that you could possibly do.
Hmm.
His latest thing that I've seen anyways is like set up an extra camera at your desk and live stream your entire day. Mute when you're in meetings or stuff that you don't want to be like talking, like you don't want to hear people talking about. Unmute every once in a while, talk to the people. Like to me, that just doesn't seem super engaging, but apparently that's like the big thing right now. What are
Yeah.
your thoughts on that? Have you seen that?
So I can this is the fun part of being a content creator. I can tell you why he thinks that that would work, and fundamentally, he's not super wrong. So, like, it's psychologically, it's like mirroring. So, like, some people with ADHD find it helpful to have someone, like, if they're doing clothes, like, have so like put on a video of someone doing clothes, or like if you're a kid playing Call of Duty or FIFA, or if you're an adult playing Call of Duty, if you're playing Call of
Yeah.
Duty or FIFA or something like that, like turning on a video of someone doing the thing will make it a more enjoyable experience for you. And
Yeah.
so I think that that's what he's kind of looking at, is that people do that with other niches. So why wouldn't they want to do that with their daily lives? Which makes sense. I think that there needs to be a purpose to a lot of this stuff. And so I I think at some point we have to draw the line. And I think that this goes to the point I was making with, like, I was the Fall Guys guy. Like, do you wanna be the person who live streams their entire day, every day? Because you have no
Hmm.
privacy. Like, what is success to whoever is going to do this? Because that's what I learned, like, that month where I, like, made a lot of money, had a real good month, was
Yeah.
real sad.
Yeah.
Real, real sad. And so, like, this is the question that I ask every single person that I hire now. And if you're a businessy person and you don't care about content, this can be your takeaway. Ask the person that you are sitting across from, if you were a billionaire, what would you do every day? And if their answer is not the assigned role that they want to apply for or work at, and you are doing something that like really requires quality work. So, like if you're outsourcing to a freelancer for a logo, or you're outsourcing, or you're bringing a design team in house or a marketing team in house, and the person you're talking to isn't like, I would make advertisements for the rest of my life because I find it so fun to create ways that viewers and consumers can experience our products that they haven't seen before,
Hmm.
then don't hire them. They just don't
Wow.
belong, unless they're just like a placeholder, because you're going to get horrible work. Because if you're a billionaire, you'll, for like a year or two, you'll spend all the money, you'll do all the stuff. But
Hmm.
then like there it's the same thing as starting with no viewers
Yeah.
to having 30,000 viewers. You're still left, you have nothing at the end. And so what makes you happy is the more important thing. So, like, yes, could you find success streaming your entire day? Sure. That sounds like the most stressful thing I've ever heard of in my entire life.
Yeah. Making sure
Literally
you're muted
always
and
having a
unmuted
camera
all.
on you. Oh
Yeah.
my god. I would literally never do that. Take it from someone who has had a camera in their face during really hard times.
Yeah.
You need to ask yourself what you would wanna do if you were a billionaire and pursue that, and not just pursue success in general, because you need to define what success is. And success, I can assure you, is not getting a bunch of viewers watching you do your stuff every day. Because like you don't know what it's like. Like, what if you are like having a bad tummy ache day, and then you're like clearly unwell and you forget to mute and like you let one rip, and this is a very crazy example, but like now you've got a
Yeah.
chat full of people like, yo, like this is crazy, and now like you're feeling shamed for just being a human, and like
Yeah,
it's
and now
those
that's a
times where
clip.
you need the privacy. It's gone. And it's
Mhm.
like, do you lean into that, or do you like not draw that boundary? Because like your job is now an entertainer, that's what you're doing, so like your job should be to lean into it and make fun of yourself. But
Yeah.
are you going to be ready for that? Because like you might have this really big audience that you're not ready for, and that's part of content that um, is super super valuable for people just getting started. Is like you are not ready to blow up. I promise you, you are not ready. You will experience the highest high of all time, but the lowest low if you don't have a system in place to keep up what you've found if you do blow up. So if you do put a camera up on your wall and you do experience a lot of success, like whenever that stops working, you have to be ready to pivot. And I
Yeah.
think that we can relate on this. It's kind of similar to like steroid use. So like you get to
Yeah.
your natural limit and then it's like, okay, do I want to push further or do I not want to push further? But the thing is like it doesn't matter. No one beats aging. No one beats death. At some point, you're going to have to deal with the come down of I'm not jacked, I'm not huge, I'm not valued from my body. Like it has to come from in here.
Mhm.
And so yeah, you can have super high highs if you put your camera up on your wall and stuff, but like you got to think about the come down. You got to think
Agreed.
about what you want. So I think
And
he's probably right, but I would not do it if I was giving advice.
yeah, yeah. That's kinda how I feel about it too. It's funny that another direct parallel to just what we preach inside of business is, you talked about if you were blow up today, you're just probably not ready for it.
Yeah.
Um, that's one thing that we tell so business owners will come to us because it's kind of like a CRM system that we provide. They'll come to
Mhm.
us and they're super stressed or they just know they need systems and they're not, or they don't have any system at all and they're
Yeah.
trying to like build their business and they're like, well, I want to be ready for, a couple of clients to come through, or I don't know if I need all this type of stuff. And we're like, okay, if you got 30 clients tomorrow, would you be able
Mhm.
to handle them all? And they're like,
Right.
no. I'm like, how stressed would
No.
you be if you got 30 more clients tomorrow? And they're like,
Yeah.
that would take me a long time to onboard them all. It'd take me a long time to collect all their money. It'd take me a long time to talk to them all and get their check-ins going. And it's kind of the same thing. You do have
Yeah.
to build big first so that you can actually scale big, right?
Yep.
Um,
And it
another
has to be
thing that
what
you
you
talked.
want. Like wouldn't I wouldn't mind to have I understand the negative outcomes of all this now. Like, I understand what'll happen. Like, I know what's at stake here. Like, and so if you're around me in an interpersonal situation, like, I don't wanna hear a slur out of you. I don't want like, I can't have it in my vocab. I can't because what's at stake? Like, if I'm live, I'm in a video, I do
Yeah.
panels now in front of a bunch of people, like, I can't, like, what's it called? Freudian slip? I can't afford it. You literally can't be around me. I don't care. I
Hmm.
don't care if you think it's funny. I don't care if you think I'm uptight. You can't be around me. And that's because like I know what I've done in my past. And so for me to sit here and be like, "Hey, I deserve grace and forgiveness for me being a little asshole whenever I was like 50, 60, 17, 18, 19, and all of the times that I've messed up in between there, I can't be a hypocrite today." And so
Yeah.
like this is my life now. I don't say those things now. I don't do those things now because I know it's at stake. And I think that sometimes people aren't ready for that camera in front of them and the
Yeah.
scrutiny that their life would face. And so I think in the same way with business, like no better way to find out that you have a shitty product than you having a bunch of customers be like, you have a shitty product. Like
Hmm.
then you're done. It's over
Hmm.
because like the wind's out of your sails, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Um, you also talked about how if you were a billionaire, what would you do?
mhm.
A guest probably, I think it was like 4 episodes before this. Do you know Brad and Aubrey Bromlow? Do you know who that is?
Mm-mm,
The owners of
mm-mm,
Fat and Weird Cookie.
mm-mm.
They have a decent YouTube following as well, and well, you're compared to you, you're definitely next level on the YouTube following thing, but they have a really big, like, cookie company, and they've had
Yeah,
several businesses they've started off of just, like, in the fitness space and all sorts of stuff,
that's
and,
awesome.
Brad presented a very similar reframe for, they live very frugally and just very kind of, like, normal looking lives from
Yeah,
the outside, and they just, like, put everything into building their empire and all that, and he's like, "I have goals that I'm kinda, like, shooting for, like, I know where I gotta get to where I'm kinda, like, good to get out and just be
yeah,
fine," right? But he was
yeah.
like, "I always ask my friends because 'cause they're always asking, like, 'Why don't you have the cars? Why don't you have the watch? Why don't you have the this or that?'" He's like, "I always ask him, if you could remove everybody else if everybody else in the world didn't exist outside of you, your significant other, and your kids, like,
Mhm.
would you care about acquiring that thing? Like, what would your
Yeah,
life look like then?" Right?
yeah,
And when you do that, it's like, I wouldn't care to have a watch to flex with in front of my wife and child if no one else was seeing it. I wouldn't care to have a car. I would just care that it's a car that takes us from A to Z safely, right? Like, I wouldn't care
yeah.
about the house outside of just it taking care of, like, our needs and being somewhere that we can be happy as a family. So that kind of reminded me of that, but I'm curious your take on that kind of quote.
That's so interesting. Because I agree with you in the logical process to get there, but I would think the opposite for me personally is that I would finally be able to fully enjoy the nice things if there weren't other people around
Really?
because yeah. Well,
'Cause
it's
you wouldn't be
because
worried
like
about the perspective of you flexing or something?
exactly. Well,
Okay.
yeah, like, in I think that those things are inherently nice. I think getting
Yeah.
inside of a Lamborghini is fun. I think that feeling that leather interior is beautiful.
Mhm.
But having the judgment of others passed on to you on whether or not you should be doing that, whether or not you shouldn't, is a problem. But more so than that, it's like for me personally, it's walking like if I go to Kroger or Walmart and I walk past people and like you could just see the dread on their face and then I walk out and go get in my Lamborghini and I haven't been tithing to my church. I haven't been donating my money. There are so many people out there who like don't have stuff. Like how could I enjoy that? How
Yeah,
could I just sit in my
that's
little
interesting.
gated community with my golf clubs and my experience that is completely like just get all that away from me
Yeah,
and now I can enjoy the thing. So, like, if none of that existed, if all of the pain didn't exist that people are going through, I think that I could truly enjoy those things that are nice. Like, there's a market for that. They're nice, and
definitely.
people do deserve those things. But I just think that I've been so blessed, and like I have a very different perspective because like who else on this planet has been DM'd by Ludwig Agren and basically given a career in content creation?
Mhm.
Now I did what I did with it, and I worked my butt off to be
Yeah,
successful with it but like who else? You know what I mean? Like I can't I can't with the right conscience like really enjoy those kinds of things um until I have either been a billionaire and housed millions of people for free and
yeah,
I just can't. I wouldn't be able it would be the antithesis of joy. Like I'm so much more happy in my 2013 Sonata than I would be in a Porsche. A
yeah,
hundred I know it would be the case cuz like me walking past the people in Kroger now hurts. Me walking past the people in Kroger now to go get in my Porsche would be demoralizing. Like I don't know if I'd be able to function.
well,
And so
the other thing, people are gonna hate no matter what.
oh
They're go
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah. It
look
doesn't
at
matter what I do. Yeah,
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 look at
yeah,
Mr.
yeah,
Beast
yeah, yeah,
curing
yeah.
1,000 people of blindness and
Yeah.
then becoming one of the
Well, it's
most
just a
hated
PR
people on the
stunt,
internet
right?
for it. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just
yeah, exactly. But no,
yeah, it
that's an
doesn't
interesting
matter.
take on it, and there is people I made a video about this the other day. There is people that are genuine car guys, right? That when you
Yeah,
ask that question, they're like, "I would still have the crazy car because I love crazy cars.
yeah,
Like, that is, like, one of my priority. Like, that's what I want to be happy." There's
yeah, and
watch
that to
guys
me is
out there, you know?
fine. Like, that's
Exactly.
totally fine. Like, it really comes down to intentions for me,
Totally
but
agree.
that's like this is a psychology, like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that I care a lot more about intention than outcome, and I think that some people care a lot more about outcome than intention, and so,
Yep.
um, yeah, I think that where your heart's at is the most important thing, but again, extremely faithful. Don't want to just, like, preach on the podcast 'cause that
Yeah.
isn't the I know I can talk about whatever,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that I don't know. I if there was one message out like from this kind of a topic that I could give out is that the teachings of Christ is actually extremely simple, and all we have done in the thousands of years that he hasn't been around is try to overcomplicate it and make a bunch of rules. But he asks us to have mercy on one another and to and lets us know that as we judge, so will we be judged. And so
Yeah.
intuitively, as humans, we should try to find less opportunities to judge one another. Um, but I think that Christ knew that we would just make all these rules because we're humans, and that's all we did in the Old Testament was
Mhm.
mess up, and that's why we acknowledge ourselves as sinners. And so this is my outlook on all this: is like truly all we can do is have mercy on one another. And if we had mercy on one another, like true mercy, like truly forgive everyone for the things that they did, no matter how bad they were. Like we could all have the Porsches. We could all drive
Yeah.
around and like enjoy this stuff and be like, man, look at how happy Eric is. Like he loves that thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so I think that that's where my mindset on that comes from. Is just like I don't know. And so for me to have this kind of an opinion and for me to like sit here and be preachy and hopefully not self-righteous, but have a strong opinion on how happiness works, I can't be engaging in something like because I'm not a car guy. I only know how to say Porsche because my friends made fun of me for saying Porsche. And
Yeah.
so
I would say Porsche.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I can't get a nice car. I can't because like it's not for me. It's not my thing. But I can have a turbo twist controller and a super cool mouse and not feel bad about it because it's like, oh, the
Yeah.
mouse is so cool because it's super lightweight. Like
Mhm.
that's I know my intention. I like the thing, and it's not just so other people will glorify me. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
No, I think
love
that's
that
important.
question. That's super fun. That was a good quote too.
Yeah, I thought it was super powerful too. I wrote it down. I've got like a running quotes list that I kind of just keep, and that was a big one that I put away. I'm curious your perspective on this because of you being so in the like just scientific side of content creation.
Hmm.
Do you think shadow band is a thing?
Yes.
Okay, explain that.
So we know that there is a thing called heating. I don't know if I should say. Um, it's public knowledge based on articles that there is speculation that there is a thing that TikTok can do with specific things called like warming, where they
Yeah,
like ensure that things get views, and they're not even trying to hide this, so I should be fine in saying this. But like if these are businesses. So if you want the most views possible, you should align yourself with the practice of the business and you will probably do well. So like if they're pushing TikTok live, might want to go live on TikTok. If they're pushing 10-minute horizontal verticals, you might want to make some 10-minute horizontal verticals.
yeah,
That's actively happening right now. That's free sauce.
hmm,
Make some horizontal 10-minute videos because TikTok needs analytics the same way that you need analytics and TikTok provides it to you. They need analytics on whether or not this is a viable business decision for them. So if you look at it like that, if they have it this way where they're definitely warming stuff, like why would they not cool down other features so they could gather their analytics? Like I think it's just, as it is above, so it is below type of situation. So
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think that definitely exists. However, I can assure you that if you make a great video, it will bang. It doesn't matter.
That's what I was
Like,
getting at. That's what I was getting at.
yes, like, does shadow banning happen? Yes. However, it's still a business. So if you make the best stuff, your video is going to get views. I promise you. And that's where I think people can learn a lot about content creation. And I literally could break down like the funnels of YouTube. I don't know about TikTok as a whole, but essentially like TLDR, if you're in a niche and your niche is like 20,000 people. Okay. So like, let's say you're super niche down, like you're a content creator that targets 30 to 32-year-old males who don't know how to cook. And so you
Yep.
make food, you know what I mean? It's like 20,000 people. And
Yeah.
so if you make a viral video, your video gets like 18,000 views. It's the best video in your niche. And then to figure out if other people are interested in meals that 30 to 32-year-old males who can't cook would watch, they'll send that video out to some other people to see if they're interested in that niche. So
Hmm.
you might get like 25,000 total views when that video is all said and done versus me. I'm in the IRL niche. So if there are, I don't know, I have a video with 80 million views. So if there's, let's say that there's 75 million people in the IRL niche, and then my
Yeah.
video is the best video in the niche, if they're trying to figure out if people are interested in the IRL niche, they're going to use my video to see. So then it becomes a staple video.
Mhm.
So within the algorithm, I would argue that there is a credibility ranking for each content creator. And based off of your past performance and the algorithm's ability to trust your content, you will get views based off of that because they know that you make good stuff. And that is the difference between a creator and someone who does this for a living, is that I have a long-term plan. I aspire to be up here. I don't want to say that I'm up here. I aspire to be up here.
Yeah.
And that comes from having a long-term plan, and you just do it every day, and you might eat shit. Like, I get comments all the time because you might go to my YouTube channel and you might be doing this right now and you're judging me, and I respect it because I would have too. Yeah, you got an 80 million view video on shorts, but your long form video, like your most recent one, has 5.6K. What's that about? Well, they're two
Yeah.
different algorithms. So, but the reason why I'm so confident and I can sit here and talk is like, I know exactly what I'm doing with those long form videos. Those long form, come back in 5 years, see how many views those long form videos have. Because that, like, I talked to Ludwig about it. I was like, Lud, like, I just feel so defeated because I go and look at your old stuff and it was horrible and it was just getting views. It was just like you were like chosen, plucked out of the masses, and
Yeah.
everyone just loved you. And he was like, you're an idiot. Like, he didn't call me an idiot, but like, it was read between the lines. He was like, bro, like, those videos didn't have views whenever I like first got, but like, he has years and years and years and years and years and years and years worth of success and people who are curious enough to go back and watch those. And so it's really about building a brand and an identity that people can relate to. So like, whenever I make a viral video, I'm trying to market myself. Whenever I make a
Mhm.
long form video, I'm trying, that's my product, is my long form
You're
video.
trying to
And the people
nurture,
who
yeah.
already really, exactly, the people who already like me should be watching that. And so I've done a horrible job with long form video. I can be critical of myself. I haven't uploaded consistently. I've given the algorithm no reason to think that these videos deserve push. Now my short form videos perform very differently. And so I think that that's really what it comes down to with content creation, is that idea that each niche like has a different push. And so like, the way that you operate within the algorithm is going to reflect your video. So you might think you're shadow banned, but you might be in a niche of 20,000 people. And
Yeah.
so like, I can have the worst video of all time. My worst video, my worst performing video right now on my page, I think has 200,000 views. I think that's my worst performing video. Um, And like, that's my niche is gargantuan. So if you aligned my video with every other niche in IRL, that was a horrible video. But it's
Yeah.
just, my niche is so big, and so I think that that's where people can get real caught up. And I say that to people sometimes if I talk to them. I'm like, bro, like, this is a viral video, and they're like, no, so it has 10,000 views. And I'm like, well, like, for people who are interested in this, and this, like, you just made the best video of all time. Look at your comments. The engagement's really high. Everyone loves this video. Like, you've just niched yourself too far down. Like, you make great stuff. And then they're like, oh my gosh. And I'll come back 3 months later and they're getting all these views. And I'm like, there you go. You niched up. And so I think that people need to not worry about being shadow banned, and they need to be more critical of themselves. And
Yeah.
if they're like, Hunter, you don't have the credibility to say that, go back and watch what I just said about my long form content and how I was being critical of myself. I know I need to be more consistent, but I also have a long-term plan for that. So, shadow banning, probably real, probably not affecting you.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. So I know a lot of people in this similar situation. I'm in this situation. So like on TikTok, for
Yeah,
example,
sure.
I for the first several, really multiple years of the platform, mostly a consumer, right? And
Mhm.
then as I'm trying to grow my personal brand, which is really, I feel like we started off on different sides of things. Like, you went all in on the personal branding thing first, which I think is smart,
Yeah,
because that's like,
thanks.
just that's
Well,
the
one
real
of us has made
currency.
7 figures and one of us hasn't, so
Well, hey, make
we'll
your
see what
business making seven figures and you making seven figures are two very
That's
different
facts. No, no,
things.
no, no, I know that's right. I know that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. There's a lot
That's
of team
funny,
members
that's
you got to
funny.
pay
Yeah,
at that mark.
yeah. Yeah.
But you've got the social currency, right, to be able to do all these crazy things like business wise off of it. I've built up
Mhm.
like the business side of thing, and like, now I'm like, hey, what I'm missing really is like a personal brand. So all
Yeah,
that to say, I feel like a lot of people are in a similar situation where we were maybe consumers for the first several years on a platform, and then
yeah.
now trying to get into creating content and being consistent with content and growing like a personal brand. Do you think that's possible with like the way algorithms take into effect, like you said, past performance and just past interactions? Do you think like me having a 4 or 5 year old TikTok account and then really now starting to be consistent for the first time, is that like,
Mhm.
do people start a new TikTok account? Do people like what would be your
All the
recommendation there?
time.
Or does that not just create better content, period?
Remember your intro on me? You were like, you got these numerous channels, like all these different things are different. And so, like, what I would say, I give you two pieces of advice. I give you what I would do, and then I would give you what I think you should do to learn.
Hmm.
So, if I was gonna do this, I would. So, like, my main TikTok, I upload my best shit. Period. It doesn't matter if you go to my 1.1 million follower TikTok, you're gonna see my best work. I don't care what I'm doing. It's gonna be there, and I rely on the TikTok algorithm to recognize it's my best shit and push it out. And my transition from IRL, from gaming to IRL, was pretty seamless. Like, it was just like, okay, this is Halite. He makes good content. Push it. However, I on YouTube didn't experience that, and so I needed to switch. And so that's why it's really important to understand each algorithm individually and to not okay, so I'll come back to my final point, but
Okay.
because I almost made it there. But I would isolate variables and I would test for yourself. If
Okay.
I was giving if I wanted to teach people how to do this, like, you give a man a fish or teach him. And so, like, find out. Take what you think your best video is and put it on a new page. Actually, that's not a good test. Pick a schedule. So, like, let's say that, because let's take credibility into account and let's assume that a credibility ranking exists. You're going to upload Monday, Wednesday, Friday for a month. So pick your best 12 videos that are on your old page, your very, very, very best. Make sure they're all within the same niche, and then upload them all Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Use the exact same captions, all the same stuff, and upload it. If it does better, there you go. If it doesn't do better, they were bad videos. You know what I mean? Or maybe it's a mixed bag. What's important is to learn the discernment and to be able to isolate variables and figure out what's going on. Because what I've just done is give you a strategy. And now I
Yeah.
don't want someone in my Instagram DMs talking about, well, hey, Light, you told me that if I did this and then I did that, and then maybe it's like, no, 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 no. Like, maybe I have a flawed experiment. Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
but I guarantee you we could find out. Like, you know what I mean? And so, like, that's the job of someone trying to build a brand. And then the final thing is, like, stop caring. Stop giving a fuck. Oh my goodness gracious. Whenever you go out in public and you're trying to meet new people, are you like, oh my gosh, well, I used to be like this. It's like, oh my gosh, how's my hair? How's everything going? Like, are they gonna like me? Like, is the algorithm gonna work? And now I just try to be funny.
Yeah.
Like, literally in any social situation, I try to find any opportunity to be funny and I make people laugh. And I have a lot more friends now than I used to whenever I was really worried about all that stuff. And so just do that. Like, whatever that is for you. Like, maybe you're super introspective, or maybe you're super analytical, and you have something unique about you that is special. Lean into that and stop worrying about the algorithm. I guarantee you it'll take care of itself. But
Yeah.
if you are very curious and you want to isolate variables, isolate the variables. Like, I take all the guesswork out of my stuff, and I've been doing that for years and years and years and years and years. But the reason why I take guesswork out of it is because I'm very experimental. So it's out of circumstance. It's not that I just
Mhm.
have to have an answer and I'm like, this is what we do now and this is our system. It's like, I want to keep pushing the bar.
Yeah.
And so I can't isolate a variable and see if me pushing the bar would even work if I'm making a mistake here that I should have learned back here.
Hmm.
And so if I'm trying to isolate a variable, I need to not be making this mistake, and that needs to be shored up so then I could do the really fun creative thing. And so I would say if you're trying to build a platform and build up yourself as a influencer, I would really be introspective and ask yourself what I would do if I was a billionaire. What would
Yeah.
you do every day? And then start doing that, because you need to find joy in it. I promise you, you can look at my, like, right now, I'm having a blast doing this podcast. I love yapping. I love Baker, and I'm having a lot of fun. Right? If you catch me on a podcast I don't enjoy,
Yeah.
uh-huh. And it's because they're not letting me talk. If I'm on a podcast where I'm not talking, I'm checked. I'm like, okay. Like, why am I
For
here?
sure.
Like, I'm the guest on your podcast. Like, why am I here? Like, did you bring me on your podcast to listen to yourself talk? Like, no. Like, okay. And so, like, I'll just check out. And so, if you're making content that you don't want to be making, they can tell. Everyone can see. If you don't want to
Absolutely.
be in a public place, everyone can tell. If you don't want to be on a date, your date can tell. And so, like, if you don't want to be making the videos you're making, it will 100% affect you. It might not be the algorithm, but it 100% will be you not wanting to make that content that
Hmm.
will affect your ability to grow. So stop
Wow.
caring and just start making vids.
Yeah, no, that's super valuable. What would you
Yeah.
say? And I've got several more questions I want to ask you, but
Dude, I have all day, bro.
I think this analytical
Seriously.
kind of stance on content is super interesting. What would you say are the key components of a post that people need to look at? Like Hormozy, I think I saw that you picked up one of his most recent books, but um, he has this whole framework of you've got to hook, retain, reward somebody,
Hmm.
and that's
That's
like
literally exactly what I do.
okay, like that's one
Yeah.
content unit,
I had
right?
never
So
read the book, but that's exactly what I do. That's the difference maker. Sorry to interrupt you,
you're
but
good.
hook, everyone on YouTube right now is hook retain.
Okay.
And about a year ago, around this time, like right before I like started experiencing explosive growth, the director of the algorithm, I can't expect the man at YouTube whose team makes the algorithm uploads a video and it's on your dashboard and he says, algorithm does all of this really complex stuff. What are we worried about? What is the algorithm trying to figure out? Viewer satisfaction. All of the other stuff, like you look at all this stuff, all it's trying to do is figure out if a viewer was satisfied. So I've isolated a lot of variables and I do have answers to questions, but that's proprietary knowledge. Sorry.
Yeah, totally
You know
cool.
what I mean? But I can tell you that likes do matter. Watch time does matter. Subscribers do matter. All of that stuff really matters. But the most important thing is the culmination of all of those KPIs, if we were to put it into a business sense, to tell the algorithm whether or not a customer is satisfied. So if you own a restaurant, you could, in theory, break down revenue per night and then potentially take your tip amount and then divide it by that revenue. And if it's not at 20%, you might be having customers that are experiencing dissatisfaction with your waiting staff. And that's how you can isolate and figure that out. And so,
Yeah,
like, take that example and apply it to content creation and, like, you know what I mean? So, like, I think that the most important thing that you could do is hook, retain for sure. But there
yep.
has to be cheese. A lot of have you ever heard of like the Cracker Jack box meme? It's
Mm-mm.
like you gather enough Cracker Jack boxes to solve the riddle on the back, and it says buy more Cracker Jacks.
Okay.
It's a lot of content right now. It's like you're just trying to get everyone to the end, and you
Yeah.
do all these strategies to get people to the end. But if you're gonna use this, I'm about to get up to say, if you're gonna use the strategies, you better have some cheese at the end
Yeah.
because my strategy for my business, and we can call content my business, is every single time someone sees my face, I want them to go, "Oh, this is a Halite video. I am gonna watch to the end." I want to
Mhm.
buy the viewer's trust with a bunch of really good videos. I want to build up that credibility with them. So then I can do really fun and experimentative stuff that I don't have to rely on retention. However, if you, let's say you get 30 million views on a video because you retained the crap out of people, I would say that's extremely detrimental to you if you don't have a deliverable at the end that makes people really like you and makes it feel like you valued their time and you respected their viewership, because the next time they see your face, they're going to go, "Oh, that guy's a snake or a slime
Yeah.
ball. Oh, that guy wasted my time."
Or
Scroll,
clickbait or
scroll,
things like
scroll.
that.
Exactly. So, like, if you do have a super viral video, it might be hurting you. You might need to take that bad boy down if you're not delivering value in that. Because it's like a bigger. How good would your business do if you had, I don't know, 1,000 clients in a year and literally every single one of them was dissatisfied? How long would you be in business?
Not long.
Not long. And so, like, too many content creators they just don't care. Like, people think that people on the internet are dumb, but the reality is all the numbers, it's an individual of one person watching your video. So whenever I make videos, like, I try to get a laugh out of that person, or I try to get them scared, or I try to do something that, like, gets an emotion out of them.
Mhm.
And if I don't deliver on that, okay, I didn't do a good job. But how can you even know? Like, how can you even know if you're good at your job if you don't even attempt to provide value to the person watching? And so, um, yeah, I think that that ending part is the most important. And I think that Hermosi's giving away a lot of sauce for free, but I don't think that enough people will even recognize that it's sauce. Because
Yeah.
like the state of YouTube is hook retain, but no one's hook retain value.
Mhm.
That's why he's a hectomillionaire. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Um, with your everything you got going on right now, how what does the business look like for you? Like, 2 questions, I guess, are kind of rolled up in that. What are you doing day to day? Are you building, like, you're just working on content for yourself and you're planning that out, you're budgeting
Mhm.
out how you're gonna do that? Like, and then I guess a follow-up question, which I can even ask you again later if you don't wanna address it right now.
Sure.
What are you planning with all this audience, right, that you have, this
Mhm.
huge platform that you have, are you planning different businesses off of that? Because that's where my mind goes, is like,
Yeah.
are we gonna be I know you've done
Absolutely.
merch before. Are we doing merch? Are we
Yeah.
doing this? Are we doing that? Like, what
Yeah.
is, the kinda overarching plan with your platform you're building?
Yeah. So I have a 5-year plan that I've been working on for like 18 months at this point. That has those like end goals. So the first one, I want to make a brand called 59 Seconds, but it's a nonprofit. So essentially what I want to
Okay,
do is I want to procure and create a brand for kids getting into content creation where they don't have to understand or do any of the business side of stuff at all. They just have to link the hoodies or the shirts or the hats or whatever that are really high quality, really nice. They know it'll be shipped out in a good amount of time. And the consumer knows that they'll be getting um, something of quality to show that they support it's like smaller, younger, short form creators. Um, but basically, the way that it'll work is it would kind of be like obviously there are variable like I don't want to get too into the weeds of the accounting, but people might be like, how are you going to do a nonprofit with so like there are fixed costs
yeah,
so and variable costs. So the amount that it would cost each hoodie would obviously go down the more hoodies are sold because the
yep,
fixed costs are rolling into the variable costs of each hoodie.
mhm,
And so what we would do is there's like two ways to do it. Either you can tell I put a lot of thought into this.
mhm,
Um, there we would either have like a big pool of like all of the hoodies sold and then an aggregate or on an individual basis, which is what I lean towards because I don't want some people punished for the abilities of other people involved with 59 seconds. Um, we would literally just recoup our costs. And obviously that sometimes people with nonprofits are like I have myself on $1 million salary, but like I
yeah,
would no, like we might have people working there and making sure that like the supply chain is running, but the goal is to allow kids who want to make videos and make content to not have to worry about monetizing themselves. And it's not a get rich type of situation. Like I would just want like it might not get them a new car, but maybe it gets them a new camera, or maybe it lets them outsource some editing and it lets them start to learn the business side of stuff.
yeah,
So that's a huge goal that I have. I want to make a meat company. I'm like really into high quality meat. And so I want it to be another nonprofit where like we just basically source meat from farms, buy it for cost, and then sell it direct to consumer for cost.
okay,
Yeah, like I hate thinking about people not being able to eat high quality food because of socioeconomic status. Like, I don't think that people should be shamed for being fat, overweight, unhealthy when all they can afford is a, you know, turkey meat from great value turkey meat from Walmart.
yeah,
Like it's just packed full of preservatives and all kinds of stuff. And so I really want to I want to build out a meat company that again not for profit. And in terms of my own personal stuff, the thing that I want to do, the thing that I think will like if I ever get to a billion, the thing that I think will get me there is I want to create a men's health um brand and I want to build it holistically. So not just like here's some skincare products, here's some hair care products. Like I want to at the source target alopecia in men, at the source target skin quality in men. Like what's your diet? What's all of that? Like I really want to create and I want to have nodes in as many cities as we can in the United States where men can go and not like I want to take all of the friction away from people being healthy.
Yeah.
And so I want people to like, for example, there are some studies that show that head massages can release scalp tension, which will increase blood flow, which will allow you to have um, either hair regrowth or at least retain the hair that you have. And
Yeah.
so, like, I would love to have a
I'm gonna have
place
to
where people,
put my wife on that, I think. Get my hairline in check.
um, yeah, no, it's actually it's really nice. So you
Yeah,
might,
yeah.
I'll send you the video.
Yeah, perfect,
But
perfect. Send it to her, actually.
yeah. So I can so I want to create a place where people can like go and get the head massages and go and get like all of the products that they would want that's not like a crazy upcharge where they know it's going to be high quality. They know that I'm not just trying to hit licks. Like I genuinely want to build out these businesses for people to improve their quality of life, not because I want to get rich, but because I think that like we have this nearsightedness in our generation and the generation above us where we forget that like raw GDP is like the whole pursuit of money thing. Like
Yeah.
our country creating value is like the whole thing. That's what we're trying to do. It's like we're trying to create value. So like ensuring that our citizens are happy and that the people around us are happy. Like we live here. Like whenever you drive past a homeless person, like this is your country. Like this is your city. That's your neighborhood. Help
Mhm.
him, help her, help them. Like, what do we do? Like, and so I really want to use my platform to create more opportunities for people to help one another and recognize that, like, if we all just helped one another, then everyone's outcomes would be better. And that's what makes a country rich. Like, at the
Mhm.
lowest end, someone in the United States is drastically wealthier than someone in a third world country. Well, how do we get there? I can assure you it wasn't from like the top 1% getting that much richer and everyone else getting that much poorer. It was from helping one another out and giving people the chance to innovate and the chance to de-stress and be creative and come up with new solutions. And so I have been given this incredible chance to do that myself
Yeah.
via my parents being in the military, not having debt from college, a lot of friends helping me out and making sure that I have money to do what I want to do. And so I really want to build out businesses and nonprofits that will give those same opportunities to people who will take advantage of them. I can't force everyone to do the thing, but we could worry about the people who would take advantage of it, or we could worry about the people who need it and would utilize it properly.
Mhm.
And so that's my goal. And then I think it'd also be pretty cool to make movies, but that's
Nice.
very hard to do. So
That
yeah,
sounds like right up your alley, honestly.
it'd be
Um,
fun.
I can feel this question already being asked by people listening. What does the day-to-day life of a full-time IRL content creator look like?
So I just play video games like 8 hours, and then
Nice.
I have two calls, and everyone else does all the work for me, and then I make millions and millions of dollars.
Heck yeah.
No, so no, I have like a very segmented schedule. Like on my wall, I have this like little whiteboard where at night, basically my day starts the night before. So like being on a routine is really important. Because I don't physically do a lot of work, like, when it comes down to it. Like, I'm not actively, like, doing a lot, but I'm thinking probably like, being a content creator is more of a lifestyle than it is a job or, like, something that so, like, I'm always thinking about stuff. Like, anything can be content, and so, like, I have an interaction with a friend, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like, that's a great video." It's stupid, but, so I have this whiteboard basically where it's, like, my big to-dos I hit, and those are kind of my dopamine hits where I like, mark off the things that
Yeah.
I'm supposed to do. And then other than that, I try to be very gracious with myself because one of the toxic sides of content creation, and I think being an entrepreneur in general, is we can have this idea that we have to be like grinding like 16 hours a day or you don't want it. Why don't you just work harder? But the thing is like I am not stupid, and you're probably not stupid. And so why would we work harder if we're not like really big and strong and our goal is to move a bunch of stuff? Like if our goal is to come up with innovative solutions that are creative and fun, we should probably be working less and taking care of our mental health more and like the time that you do work, the quality of it is drastically higher. So I'm doing a video on IQ, and in the last 2 years, my IQ has gone up 12 points from 119 to 131, which was
Nice.
like I was like top 10%. Now I'm like top 2%. It's all
Yeah,
hoopla.
yeah,
But the
yeah.
point is that like I do a lot of thinking all the time, and it's a lot of problem solving. So if I go to take an IQ test that's about pattern recognition and problem solving, like it looks like I'm super smart. But if you judged my ability to build a house, I'd look like an idiot.
Yeah,
So yeah, like day to day, I wake up, I have a lot of management to do. Like I have people that work with me. I wouldn't say for me because that's just not really how content works, because if someone's editing the video, their personality is coming out in it a lot. And so it's not just like my thing, it's our thing. You could play the Soviet Union theme.
yeah,
But like my board, my board today, it just has Bible, walk, clean, review videos, rearrange room, and make sure I go to the gym. So like those are my really big things that like I have to do to make sure that my mental is taken care of. You'll notice I don't have like meetings on there. I don't have the podcast on there because if like some of those things like that stuff's out of my control. So like
yeah,
if you cancel the podcast today, there's nothing I can do about it. But if I don't check it off, then like I feel like I haven't accomplished something that I
for
was
sure.
supposed to do today. And so I really just try to control what I could control, and that enables me to write and do the things that I need to do. So, um, I do a lot of planning, and because a YouTube video now, it's not like I just get on the stream and I play the game. Like they're month long videos. They're videos that take a lot of time, and so that's been a really big learning experience. So, um, yeah, I think that day to day, it's a lot more about taking care of my mental. So when the opportunity arises, I'm ready to go. So like if I walk down the street and I see something that could make a hilarious video, I can walk back in my room and I'm in a good mental headspace to write a banger video.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So
Okay.
that's what I know is ambiguous, but that's
No, no,
kind
no,
of what a
that
day would
that
look
that
like.
totally makes sense.
Gotcha.
It actually brought up a couple more things from what you were saying. So, there's another quote that I've got that basically it's not always about. I'd love to hear your opinions on it because it's kind of what you were
Sure.
talking about. It's not always
I love
about
the
how hard
quotes.
you work. It's about the size of the levers you can get access to,
Yeah.
right? So like
It's interesting.
your my levers that I was pulling, right, or levers that you were pulling whenever you were first starting out with streaming, they might have gotten you X amount of views, 5 or 10 people watching you
Yeah.
play, right? The levers or 20 views on your YouTube video. The levers that you're pulling now, right, that you have access to now, you're not necessarily working harder than you were. You might have been working harder
Hmm.
back then, but now the levers that you pull have access to maybe more team members, maybe better editors, maybe better quality of camera, maybe better. So
Hmm.
what does that mean for you now, especially describing your schedule that you've got? What do you think about the concept of harder working versus just bigger levers?
Yeah, so I really like that, and I think that it's kind of a platform for me to jump off of into what scaling content kind of looks like. So, um, I had a stint where I was writing everything, recording everything, and editing everything, and they were good videos. They did well. Like Alone is a video that you can go on YouTube and look if you're curious. I wrote, recorded, and edited it. I edited that myself. And so that video has 9 million views. So like I can do the editing. I can do the stuff. Am I the best at it? No, not at all. I'm the best at writing and being in front of the camera. Like that's my specialty, but I have to be a generalist as any CEO of any company does. I have to know how to do everything or else I'm going to get scammed or I'm not going to be respected by the people who are doing the thing. So what happened during that stint is I experienced extreme burnout to the point of desperation where I was hiring anyone that I could get that would edit a video. And it
Okay.
created so much more work for me to try to get them to do what I would have just done versus taking like a month off. It wound up being a 6 month lull in me making videos because I was sitting there and I was like, this isn't sustainable. How can I be a better content creator? How can I be a better writer? How can I be better in front of camera? How can I be more innovative? How can I all of the things if I'm sitting here editing? Like I can't. Like I can only get better at editing while I'm editing. So I could have a 16-hour workday, but then like how am I going to have friends? How am I going to refill my bucket? How am I going to do it? It's impossible. It's not sustainable. So I learned that I had to build sustainability into my businesses. And now to go to the levers, I have 2 editors, and one of them is a producer and an editor. So his job is to facilitate any idea that I have and make sure that we have the pieces in place, and then he edits it as well. So,
Okay.
like, his job is to take what's in my head that I've written and all of the details that I could give him, and then build because and this guy went to film school. He's got 10 years of experience, very different than what I was working with originally getting on YouTube. And so he has a level of professionalism to him and knowledge that allows us to move in ways that are drastically more efficient
Hmm.
and increase the quality of our content. And so it's like that knowledge is power type thing. Like, we can do a video that would have taken me 2 months in 2 weeks because of what he knows and what I know. And so if we put that together, then now we have more. So I think that working harder is great, but I think that defining what the work is. So, like, I'm always thinking, so I work my ass off. If you think take into account like how frequently I'm trying to improve my writing. How long am I in the lab trying to like I'm in an acting class. I'm trying to learn how to be better on camera. I'm trying to learn how to be better in front of people, like being Halite, the content creator, while there's also people around it, like not letting that affect me, but also being kind and gracious to them and not taking up too much of their day or annoying them. And so I'm
Yeah.
trying to learn all of these things. And that's a lot to balance for me to be managing other people and for me to be editing. And so it's just so much to do where I think that having the ability to pull more levers is or larger levers is vital, but it's the knowledge is power thing. I think that that would be a good addition to this is like take those two quotes, like one's a cliche and one's like a pretty fun quote. You take the
Hmm.
cliche of knowledge is power and it's like you need the ability to pull down the levers. How do you make that happen? Sometimes it's money, sometimes it's respect, sometimes it's circumstance, like however you
People.
can pull that lever down. Exactly. And so that's where you need the knowledge of how this stuff works. And that's been what I have done is via my work ethic, I have learned how to do basically everything that there is to do in content. Eh, And that's enabled me to figure out where I'm best. It's so if I have an editor, the channel is called Halite. It's still
Hmm.
our video. You know what I mean? Like, yes, my face is on it, but that's just where I sit best. And that requires a lot of introspection. Like, we could get really deep with it. Like, I'm blonde hair and blue eyed. I have a pretty symmetrical face, high cheekbones, like all the thing. It's serious. Like,
Yeah. No, you're.
and so
Yeah.
like, should I be in front of the channel or should I be behind the scenes editing? You know what
Hmm.
I mean? Like, should I be spending time trying to work on public speaking and acting and writing and building up the persona, or should I be editing? And so it's like those things where you have to like really get introspective and like understand your strengths and your weaknesses. And like that makes me feel so conceited to say, but like that's part of the pain points of knowing yourself is like, okay, what comes with that is I look like an asshole. People might think that I'm super rude. People might think that I think that I'm better than them, but I also like very rarely get compliments because people think that I already know. And so, like with any blessing, there is a really fine line between letting it like become a curse and something that's really bad. And so, I really just had to be decisive and choose like I'm not editing. I'm not going to let this idea of grinder mentality weigh me down, and I'm going to pick what I want to be good at, and I'm going to tirelessly pursue getting better at that, and then hopefully I can surround myself with people who that's their thing that they want to do. And
Yeah.
that's where the billionaire question comes in. It's like, we had all the money in the world, would you do this? Because when you're really having fun doing the thing, that's whenever you get your best work. And that's to go back to the I'm having fun on the podcast, the same thing with content. It's just like if you're having a blast doing it, you're always going to make a better product. You're always going to like let me put this into terms that I think that people who are fans of you could understand. Your second company where you're doing the gym equipment. Why did you come up with that product for your niece?
I came up with that one because I went through a knee surgery and
Mm-hmm.
needed it for rehab, and I just approach everything through an entrepreneurial lens. Really, I'm just like, this isn't
Yeah.
there. I can create this thing. Oh, people actually
Yep.
like this thing. Let's do something about it.
There's a need and a purpose for the product.
Hmm.
There is not a need for more content creators. I can look the camera down. We don't need anyone else. Because the reality is like all of the niches, like you're competing against me, Mr. Beast, Ryan, Eric, all these really big guys, and then you're also competing against Netflix, Hulu, all of it. So like if you're not doing this because you really feel like you have something of value to give to people, like you really feel like you have something really funny and you want to share with people, or a lot of good life advice and you want to share with people, like if this is a business to you, it's the wrong business.
Yeah.
You can make a lot more money doing many other things. But if you do feel like you have something to share with people, then there is a need for that. There is a need for creators. There is a need for influencers and content creators. There is a need for people who will be unapologetically themselves and share that with people and show people that it's okay to fail and all that stuff. And so um the reason why I say that is there could just be a lot of really, really, really hard months and years. And if you don't have that, like, no, I want to have a platform where I can tell people that, like, hey, the money and stuff is cool, but what's cooler? Being able to enjoy it without feeling like an asshole because you have taken care of those around you, like all of that stuff. Like, I want to help people not have to experience loneliness at the capacity that I experienced
Mhm.
loneliness. I want to help people who were my age whenever I didn't know any better, like 14, 15, to like teach them why people might not like them or why it's not okay to say some of the things that they might say. Like, I was a little asshole, but I just didn't know why. Like
Mhm.
and so I want to make these videos that have themes that are really easily digested by anyone, like an 8-year-old or an 80-year-old. I want everyone to be able to understand what I have to tell them. And so that's why I think that sometimes it can be a little bit of a struggle to do anything entrepreneurial, um, especially content, because when you hit that wall, everyone quits. Like Hermosi has a video recently where he talks about you get to the bottom and it's like, I hate this, I quit, I hate this, I quit, I hate this,
Yeah.
I quit. And you just go back up to the top of like, this is the idea. But if you can push through that bottom, then you can get to the other side and like actually find success. But
Yep.
you'll never, ever, ever make it past the bottom if you don't have a strong purpose. If you don't have, my knee was messed up, so this was a necessity case for me. And so I want other people to have access to this because it helped me so much. Like
Mhm.
that, like you can make money off of that all day coming and going, and no one's going to be like, "Oh, you're a dick. Oh,
Yeah.
you're just getting something in from China and trying to take advantage of people." It's a
Mhm.
respectable thing, and so I think that that's lost a lot in content, is just that respect of like, why are you doing this? Because people can see, like, you watch content. Everyone who watches this watches content. Like, how many videos a day do you see where it's just like, oh, oh, okay. It's
Yeah.
like, bro, I don't want to watch that because it's not new, it's not unique. There's no value. Um, so yeah, I think that yeah, it's all really holistic, and so I feel like I might go in circles sometimes with these questions and
No,
answers,
no.
but
I think it's all
there's
super
also
valuable.
intertwined. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's all it's a lifestyle more than it's a job type thing, and I think that that's probably how entrepreneurship is for everyone.
It is.
Hopefully,
It
people
is.
can
It's
relate
it's
to
not
that.
for the I think from I think from the outside, whether you look at content creators or entrepreneurs or people that aren't on kind of the typical trajectory or I guess conveyor belt of just what a lot of us fall into life wise, it looks really glamorous from the outside, but
It's horrible.
on the inside, yeah, on the inside, there's like it can just beat you down to levels that are just like unfathomable to most
Yeah,
people, right? Like my friends that are
yeah,
working 9 to 5s might be like, dude, you have the freaking life. You get to work from
yeah.
wherever. You get to make as much money as you want to make. You get to do I'm like, but
Can I
but
ask you a
me
question?
sometimes, and I'm sure you probably sometimes as well. I look at those guys, right, and those girls, and I'm like,
That's what I was gonna
you
ask you.
have
Yeah,
a guaranteed amount of money that's going to go into your
yeah.
account every single month. You don't have to
All
think
the
about
time,
any of
bro.
this shit after
Yeah,
4 p.m. every single
all
day.
the
You don't have
time.
anything to do Saturday and Sunday. Like you
Yeah,
just get to chill outside of your 35,
yeah,
40 hours a week, you know?
yeah,
And I the grass is always greener, right?
yeah.
But I also stay in this because I
I was about
just
to say why.
love,
I wanna know
yeah,
why.
I stay in it because I just love the game of business.
Yeah,
Right. I just love looking at life through an entrepreneurial lens. That's why I've got, I always come into every podcast with like a bunch of research and a bunch of things that I want to ask the person. But the way that this has kind of gone with how you started out so analytical about just content in general. That's why I'm asking so many questions about the business side of this and making all these
Yeah, you're
parallels,
very good at
because
this.
it's super interesting to me to always see, like, how is somebody taking what they are good at and making it their thing, and most importantly making it their thing that supports them, right? Because
Yeah.
you could be a great content creator, but if you didn't think about how it could support you, it's not going to
Mhm.
support you. You could be
Yeah.
making viral videos that don't do shit for you, that don't pay
Yeah.
the bills, and you're still
Yep.
working a 9 to 5. And there's people that do that,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
But your approach to it is, I got to figure out systems. I got to figure out a repeatable scientific formula for making this happen on demand. And that is what's going to sustain me in this business and these people that I work with. Um,
What comes easy to you in business? I think that I can really make this clear to everyone watching, which is something I'm trying to get better at, is dumbing things down, which sounds like a bad thing, but it's like basically it's making everything easily understood. And I think a lot of artists, if I could call myself an artist, would like get super into the like, I make the coolest niche stuff. But like if we're trying to get a message across, then everyone needs to be able to understand it, no matter how old they are.
mhm.
So I think that this will be really helpful. What comes super easy to you in business?
I think I think if I had to distill it to my best strength in business, it would be thinking about, which is funny because I'm not good at this on the content side of things. It'd be thinking about the psychology of what journey am I taking the customer on
Yeah.
as they interact with me in my business. And that starts with a lot of times
So good.
some sort of a call to action on a social post, but then that takes
Mm-hmm.
them into a funnel. How does that funnel look? How does it make them feel? How does it make them take the step to opt in? Once they opt in, what are they getting from me, right? Does it feel like it's from a big corporate business, or does it feel like it's from an individual that cares about them and wants them to be, valued, and wants to provide value? What do
Yeah,
their
and then
emails look like?
balancing not too personal where it feels like it's a shtick where you're like trying
Exactly,
to yeah,
exactly. And then my emails that they're getting from me every single week, are those super corporate feeling? Does it feel like they're getting an email from a friend? Does everyone have a
yeah,
uniform experience whenever they come into my business, or are they maybe starting out on an email that's step 5 when I really need them to understand steps 1 through 4?
yeah.
It's there's a lot of things that go into it, but I think for me, it's understanding the psychology of the customer and how that really plays itself out based on what you have set up inside of your business.
Do you do that intuitively? Like you naturally like that was the thing that you naturally were able to do, which is what sets you apart from other business. But like, is that something like you don't even have to think about it and you only know the answer to that question and like all of that chain that you just described to me because you had to try to explain it to someone else why you were able to find success in the first place
No,
whenever
I
you
do a
didn't
lot
know?
of thinking about that, because I'm big on a lot of things that you said today. Like, that was the whole point of All Glory Apparel, was like everybody's got their own individual gift that they're just like better at, that they know more about, that comes easier to them
Mhm.
than everybody else. Like, that was the whole point of AG. It was founded on that whole idea, is that God just gives that to people and everyone's got their
Yeah.
thing. Um, And I think early on, I really thought my thing was branding, because that
Mhm.
was the extent of my knowledge and my gift at the time. Was like,
Mhm.
I can create a brand and I can make people feel a certain way about the brand, like you felt with AG, or like a lot of people have felt with Ubora, or maybe people feel about the personal training company.
Right.
But as I started to just acquire more knowledge on, I'm super interested in psychology. And so now it's like, as I learn more about psychology and just the psychology of the consumer, I'm like, I really wasn't attracted to the branding thing. I was attracted to, how can I create this thing in business that people psychologically really align themselves with and love and are drawn to.
Yeah.
And so you can call it branding from like a super high level, but it's
Yeah.
also, to me, it's more the psychology. Like, I just love
Yeah.
the psychology of high performers like yourself, but also like business and customers, and how do people get drawn to interact with a company in a monetary value like way.
Yeah. At OU, there was a class called Buying and Purchasing Behavior, which is literally what you're describing. It was my
Mhm.
favorite class in college. Actually,
I
it
didn't
was my favorite class. I
that,
loved
that
it.
I didn't get to take that one. They didn't have that in entrepreneurship. Yeah.
Bro, that's actually it's so sad. It was the best class I've taken in my entire life. I learned so much. It's why I think I'm successful in content is because of what you're describing. I was able to like the rule of seven,
Hmm.
like 7 impressions to convert someone. Like whenever I work with brands now, I'm like, okay, like what do you guys want? And they're like conversions, and I'm like, okay. we could do conversions, or we could just try to run up as many views as possible
Mhm.
and, play the long game. Cause like we could play the short game, but like that's not going to net you a lot of repeat customers. It'll get you a bunch of customers that are doing it because I told them to do it. And that's fine. And like maybe that's your marketing strategy. But like I could tell you, I can assure you that if we just try to build awareness towards your thing, and then whenever people have a problem point in their life, then they know that yours is a solution, and they can like tie me and your product together, and then subconsciously are like, I don't know why I want this one, but I want this one.
Yeah.
That is this, and so I think that's why I've had success with the advertising stuff. But the point I was going to make is that like in the same way that like you're able to at a really deep level understand the psychology and connect the dots on what you want to provide, the what you have, which I think is really special, is that you have a destination for them. And so the thing is, like with acting for me right now, I know what I want to do, but I might not be a very good actor. So I need coaching on how to do the thing that I want to do. And
Yeah.
so, like, that's the same thing with business. Like, you know where you want them to go. So if you mess up, you can fix it.
Mhm.
And so, in the same way with content, I like really easily can do the creative side of stuff. That's never been an issue for me. Like the being funny and the writing, the crazy off the top stuff. Like I think it's just a childhood thing where like I just grew up in an environment where like humor and like it just was like how I was raised.
Were you an only
What
child?
I was the baby of 5, so I was the only child for like 5 years in the household.
Okay.
So
I asked that because
my
I'm wondering if it plays into, like, you had to entertain yourself or maybe you felt like you had to entertain your parents once there wasn't a lot of people there.
I had a lot of alone time, so I was
Okay.
entertaining myself a lot.
Got it.
But I also like was a big come up for air guy. So like if something like I would just always try to be funny. But
Got it.
sometimes it wouldn't go very well.
Yeah.
Um, and so what I'm getting at is that what I've had to really work on is the analytical side of stuff. And so that's why I think I talk about it a lot because I know all of that in like such deep detail out of the necessity of having to learn that because the other stuff came so naturally to me. And so that's why I'm so focused on the analytical is because it kind of is the means to an end of me getting to do the thing that I like, which is
Yeah,
making people laugh or smile or enjoy a video. So I have to know the analytics to ensure that I can be more creative and like do all of the fun stuff. And so
for sure.
I think whatever that is for whoever's watching, like you can apply that to your own life. And so the hard part, and I maybe you'll agree with this, maybe you won't. I'm not sure. It just depends on who you've had working with you in the short term. The hardest thing for me is to explain the things that I get super intuitively and naturally. So like the comedic timing. I'm two things I'm like really, really, really good at naturally is comedic timing and picking out tones for songs and music
Mhm.
for our videos. Like I just naturally it just makes sense to me. And I don't know why. I don't know what it is. Maybe I don't know. I literally just have no idea. It just feels right. It just
Yeah,
feels right. And so that has been a huge issue for me in translating my vision and my concepts to my editors and to my team. And so that is a huge struggle for me. So I'm trying to learn now how to take what's up here and properly express it to people. And so that's what the last 6 months has been like is building out those systems. So like the state of the business now is I'm trying to learn how to take the thing that makes me me and share it with others in a way that they can digest. And they don't have to be me, but they do need to make the videos feel like it's one of my videos. And so I don't know how you have gone about like that thing that people just seeing that vision of like, no, this is the experience that I want our consumer to have. I want our customer to feel this way. I want the people who
mhm,
work with us to feel this, and they might not get it. And so like that is the hardest thing for me to have been able to translate to other people. And I think it's because people are so different.
yeah,
The analytical stuff we can all relate on, but
mhm,
the this is my intangible and like your intangible, and bringing those together and really making those digestible for people. Cause like if you're in the whole world, like you're a top 10 thinker on the psychology for a consumer, you trying to explain that to someone who literally has never thought about it before, but is like an expert at building a website,
yeah,
that's the struggle of starting a business, I feel like. And so I
it
don't know how
is.
you've dealt with all that.
It I've had to get good at it or get better at it, I should say, because we're showing other people how to do this thing, right? So, like,
Yeah.
initially, whenever I didn't quite have the confidence in describing it, and maybe I didn't have a lot of the knowledge that I needed to kind of explain it, it was just like, no, no, set your funnel up this way because it just is better,
Yeah, it
right?
just works.
And then it was like,
Yeah.
set it up this way because it's better because it's going to get more opt-ins. It's just easier for people to use. And then it
Yeah.
was like, no, set it up this way because more people will click and your drop off rate is going to be this because of these buttons that are moving around and this video that's going to welcome them. We need to have grab the person's hand and walk them through this funnel step by step. They need to be super just in touch with you. Like then it goes deeper and deeper and deeper as you just have to acquire more knowledge. And I'm a big believer too in you just become more of a master at something, the more people you can teach about it. So I think that you having to figure out how to teach this is going to take all that stuff to the next level for you. Um, so I think that's a really interesting
I
idea
started
then.
looking something up because whenever I was whenever I was in college, I did this like Berkman assessment, and the presenter of all of our results said that like I think it's like 80% of men's first question to any statement is why, or like their first thought is why. And
Hmm.
so like as you were going down the funnel of what you learned, like you were just answering more and more and more whys versus like it's the same answer. Literally,
Yeah.
it's just like you should set it up like this, but then you just like have to get better at explaining the why to people so they can rationalize it. So they don't like because one thing will assure that something doesn't work, and it's if everyone doesn't buy it. Like if I decide this podcast is gonna be bad, I'm gonna get on the podcast and make sure it's bad, even if
Yeah.
it's subconscious. I'm gonna make sure it's bad. And so I think that like having a really good why to anyone that works with you or is someone that you provide a service to, um, is content and business. And I'm not trying to reach there, but seriously, like every single time that someone watches a video in the first 5 seconds, they're saying, why? Why should I
Hmm.
watch this? And so you're supposed to hook them. And so, yeah, I just think that's so exciting. And I love, like, I literally heard that when I was what, like 20, and now I'm 25, about to be 26. And so hearing you explain like your way to get to like a better explanation of why, and then hearing that like that's most people's first question. It was only targeted for men, so I don't know what women's first question is, but it's
Yeah.
why.
Yeah.
Um, like being able to tie those two together will give us an answer that we can utilize to fix a bunch of other problems. Like if we have interpersonal issues, like if you're having a struggle, like if your wife is struggling to explain, don't let me overstep boundaries, but if your wife is struggling to explain something to you and y'all can't put your finger on it, like maybe you just don't understand why.
Hmm.
And then she's like, "Well, why do you have to understand why?" And it's like, "I don't know. I'm just hardwired that way." And it's like not just a you thing, but it's like the majority of the male population is hardwired
Yep.
that way. And so then we can be better communicators, like better friends, better everything. And so that stuff is just so exciting to me.
Yeah.
I don't
No,
know.
it
This
is.
this has been such a joy. Thank you.
No, likewise, dude. Likewise. My last question around the business stuff is what does the business of content creation like look like for you guys? So you've mentioned strategic
Mhm.
partnerships. I know you landed a partnership with like Logitech, which is nuts.
Mhm.
I remember seeing that
Yeah.
video of you
Yeah,
guys
it's
at your
crazy.
TwitchCon, at TwitchCon whenever they launched it and everything. The
Yeah.
is it mostly like these affiliations that you're doing and these brand deals? Is it like, AdSense and stuff? Like what does the business of content creation like look like?
The business model for content creation is a little unique in comparison to like a standard startup. Like if
Yeah.
you're building a company, like what's the goal of your company right now? Like not your short-term goal, but like the ultimate goal of your company. It's the same goal as every other startup ever, unless you're like really passionate about it.
I
I'm
mean,
not saying you're
what
not really passionate about it. You know what I mean?
yeah. No, I would say we're at a place now, being a year in, we're at a place now where we're starting to look at not how can we get as many people or as much revenue as possible. We're trying to see how far we can drive up our profit margins and drive
Mm-hmm.
down our churn. That's what we're trying to do because we're a
Mm-hmm.
subscription.
Yeah. And then at like let's say 10 years from now, like what do you want to do with this company?
Exit.
I say it one time.
Exit.
Yeah,
Hopefully 5 years.
yeah. I'm trying to not make it like I don't want your clients to be watching and be like Bake's just trying to get out of
No, no,
there.
I've been very
Um,
open about that from the very
yeah,
beginning. That was the goal of us building the software
yeah,
company was to exit within a few
yeah.
years.
Come on, like literally every startup's goal is to sell.
Yeah.
And so it's very different with content because like who am I sell me to? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't. And
Hey,
so I
apparently
kind of
Mr.
have to,
Mr. Beast sold to Disney or was looking at selling to Disney or something like that. I
yeah,
saw that a
they're
few weeks back.
offering, yeah, but that kind of is the reason why I'm in the position I'm in is I cannot have a boss. And so he would still have to work.
Yeah,
And like, I'm not doing like, there's no way that I'm going to, I'm going to acquire all of the money to have a bot. Like,
yeah,
why would I lose? Because the whole point of money is the freedom that you're gaining or
definitely.
doing your own thing. It's just having the freedom. And so, yeah, why would I want all the money to not be able to be free? And so, what I think is unique about content is you have to have short-term goals and really long-term goals in the same way because I can't necessarily exit. So what do I have to do? You were right with in your research that I have to build out companies around myself, which they can eventually maybe
Yes.
sell for profit. Um, but I also want nonprofits. Like I really want to be purposeful with life, and that goes back to my faith. Like um, I think the most powerful thing in the Bible is whenever Jesus talks about if you had the faith of a mustard seed, you could move that mountain. And so I just try to not worry too much about the bread and like it'll all just figure out. And so I try to worry a lot more about my goals and like what do I want to accomplish? And then the money typically finds its way to me. Um yeah, so, like, I really want to build those nonprofits. I really want to make a media company where I can make movies and tell
Yeah.
really beautiful stories without having to be funded by a major, distribution company. Like, I think that that would be cool for me to be able to run my own projects and see if maybe people would like my movies without other people say. Like, maybe people would enjoy what I have to make them, and so, I really wanna do those things, and so that is the foundational piece for me to not avoid your question, but to answer it. So that's foundational of like the thought process of
Where
how
you're
we do
going,
everything. So
yeah.
yes, and so short term, there are some cash grabs which look like one-off deals with people. It's a cash grab for them. It's a cash grab for me. They
Yep.
want to convert people or get impressions. They want something from me. I make them a video. So I'm basically a publishing house that I make them a video and I upload it to my socials, or I don't upload it to my socials. That's called UGC or user generated content, where I make a video just for them and they upload it to my page with my name and likeness affiliated with it. But I don't have to upload it to my socials because if you look at your social media page as a real estate um, development,
Mhm.
people can't just throw up houses wherever they want,
Yeah.
So if I'm making a development full of modern homes and then someone's trying to put, I don't know, like an plantation style home on like with next to the modern homes, it just doesn't fit. So like that's how I would discern, like that's how I choose what I want to go on my page.
For
And so
sure.
um that's also part of how they have to pay more is like if you're going to live on my page for a long time, like all that kind of stuff. So
Yep.
um then obviously revenue from each video and optimizing that. The way that I would put it for the person who's not that interested in the weeds and just wants to hear a straight answer. Short form content is the marketing for the business, which is the long form content, which is the most amount of time that someone could spend with me. And so if I make an hour long video, that's the time that they would spend hanging out with me and getting to know me and like really buying into my brand and my identity. And then hopefully I can provide them some value outside of the parasocial relationship. And parasocial just means like it's a internet coined term, I believe, for a relationship via the screens. So like
Mhm.
we don't really know each other. We just have a parasocial relationship. And so most of the time that's really one-sided. So like people might think that they know me, they don't know me. They might think that we're best friends. We are not best friends. It's not that I don't care about them as a human, it's that like, we aren't on that level.
Yeah.
And so um yeah, that's really how everything gets made from a financial standpoint is using those two funnels. So if people are wanting more conversion and they want to do a brands deal, long form. So if they want more impressions, short form. And so we take all of that and we take all the analytics to brands and we'll do brand deals. That's where the real, like if we're talking like real money, um, brand deals obviously are everything because
Yeah.
those are big cash influxes. And
For
so
sure.
then like you'll have, we can basically, um, what's it called? Like plan out our revenue for the year based off of what we think we're going to experience in growth. So we can get a pretty solid idea of that. We can get a solid idea with partnerships. We can do long-term partnerships. So like a year, 6 months, 2 years. Normally you won't see anything more than a year in content creation because of how quickly people blow up and fall off. Like
Yeah.
value just changes really quickly. And then also, you can have your own brands and your own kind of products mixed in there. But those, in my opinion, are longer term things. And I actually just talked to YouTube about this in like it was like a kind of like a questionnaire type of way, but it was like sent out to specific content creators, I think. And because they were just asking me about like me implementing a business in with YouTube and like using YouTube to as a funnel. And I was like, I don't want to exhaust my viewers. Like, I don't want to exhaust people. I want them to feel like I've created so much value for them that I'm not just cash grabbing them out. So it's all super calculated and planned. But from the outside looking in, it might look just super pee pee poo poo. But it is a business, but I hate the business side of it. Like, I can't stand the business side of all of this because once you start getting a little bit of cheddar in your pocket with making content, that's whenever it's like, ooh, I might go on vacation, or like, ooh, I like from a employee standpoint, like, ooh, I need a raise, like blah blah blah, like all this stuff, which is fine. Don't think that I'm a hoodlum
Bad
who's not
boss.
trying to pay my people.
Yeah.
Um, it's that once in content specifically, and I'm sure in many other entrepreneurial endeavors, when you experience that first wave of growth, now is not the time for interpersonal conflict. It's not the time to cash grab. It's not the time to buy the nice stuff. It's time to take everything that we just did and do it as many times as possible.
Yeah. It's
It's
time
time
to
to
make that the new
sustain.
floor. Yeah.
Yes, we need to sustain what we have just experienced. It's not like, ooh, I'm big famous content creator now. Like, time to give me a Tesla. It's like, no, stop that. And so that's why I hate the business side of it. Is like, I just think that so many people are like, you can make so much money in content. And it's like, yeah, you can, but this isn't a salary job. So if we have a month where we're doing 50, 60,000, next month you could do 2,000 if you act like if a hoodlum in the
Yeah.
short term. And so the business side of stuff stresses me out because I just want to focus on having fun and making content, and all the money will show up. Like, whenever I've made the most money is whenever I was just having a good time. And then the months following, like you said, with your clients, 30, 60 days later, a whole lot of money hit my
Mhm.
account. And I was like, oh, this is a lot of money. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And then I
Yeah.
started playing, and then I lost my momentum, and then I had to rebuild. And so that sucked.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It ends up pretty cyclical.
yeah,
Well, dude, I definitely need to. We definitely need to be talking more because this is all awesome. I didn't know a lot of the things that you've kind of been super heavy into, and it's super cool, super inspiring just to see that, like we talked about from the very beginning, you've just continued on with all these things and just built and built and built and built and grinded and grinded. So it's awesome, and I definitely need your help on the content side of things. I struggle to make that, even though we just drew so many parallels today. I
yeah.
struggle to put in the same amount of care, quite like frankly, into the content side of things as I do into the business side of things, and so I need to evaluate that. So maybe you can lend me a hand on some of the branding things. We'll figure something out.
That's the
Um,
last thing, isn't it? Like, that's the goal. That's the whole point of all of this, is like, I get really good at my thing, you get really good at your things, and then that's
yeah,
what networking is. Networking is not
absolutely.
the, you find Bezos and you're like, Mr. Bezos, like, you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
we both were around each other whenever there wasn't any money, there was no emotion, there wasn't anything at stake, and like, we chose to be friends then, and like, now is the time where we really should be
yeah,
enjoying
should be hanging.
the
Yeah,
value for one another. Yeah.
for sure.
So I'd be more than happy to help, and I obviously could use the help with the business side of stuff. I don't have any funnels, so
Yeah, yeah.
one
No,
funnel would be nice.
anything you need, bro. Anything you need. But no, it's so cool to see. So I appreciate you taking the time. I always have one last question that I ask every
Yeah,
single guest that comes on the Bamcast. Is obviously Bam
man. Here I
stands.
was feeling special, dude.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Hey, I don't think I've had any 2 hour episodes or 2 hour plus episodes. So I think we're creeping up on maybe one other episode that's gone this long. So
Gotcha. Sorry
It's
for
just
yapping so much. If it's been a overdone type
no.
thing, you've given me so much like you genuinely are really good at this. To give you a compliment, and for everyone that's watching that maybe can't tell good podcast hosts versus bad podcast hosts, like I feel like you've given me so much space to really talk through all of my ideas, and you never cut me off for the sake of moving on. Like I really really appreciated um how thoughtful the questions were, and how much time and effort I could tell that you put into prepping for this. It made me feel really valuable, and it made me like really want to open up and provide as much value to you and to your viewers as I could, because I really felt like you valued my time. So thank you.
Yeah,
Seriously,
dude.
thank
Of course. Of course. It comes from just a genuine, really selfish place. I just want to hear more
you.
about what you got going on. And I just want to dive into that big, beautiful head of yours and figure out as much as I possibly can about what makes you tick and all the things that you got going on. I really was looking forward to catching up. So this has been awesome.
Same.
Um, so, bam, by any means
Bam.
necessary, right?
Hmm.
What are you? We've already talked about some of your long term goals. So you can either go there or you can go something broader. What are you, Hunter Halite? We'll go with Halite. What are you, Halite, going to accomplish by any means necessary in your life?
Um, I by any means I will learn how to endlessly have mercy on other people. Period. Like I will learn how to not pass judgment on people, and I will learn how to love others as Christ has loved us. I think that that is the day that I realized that without Christ's sacrifice that I am damned for the rest of my life. Like I literally wouldn't have any hope, and that he was willing to go as far as taking human form and going through the most gruesome way to be murdered at the time, just so I would understand how endless his mercy for me is. And what I want to do is I want to stop worrying about my salvation, and I want to do a better job figuring out how I can not be preachy to other people, but share the peace that has been granted to me that I do not deserve. And so no matter what happens, any means, I swear, my yes should be yes, and my no should be no. But by any means, I will figure out how I can be endlessly merciful to others, no matter what happens to me, and then not pass judgment on them when they mess up. I really want to embody that, because I think that embodying that would be the best way to share the peace with others. Like just being other people's peace and giving them the bounce to mess up and to have grace. I really want to learn that. Like all the money, all the other stuff, like it's all fine and dandy, but I think that I I will not stop until I learn how to do that.
I love that, man. Well, it's been an
Thanks.
absolute pleasure, Hunter. We are definitely going to have you on again as we both continue to just do our things. So I appreciate it, man. Love you,
Yeah.
man. And hope to talk to you here soon.
All right, bro. I love and appreciate you too. Seriously, like thank you so much for inviting me. I had a genuine blast doing this. So and I'm sure we'll chat more afterwards. But everyone watching, you should subscribe. It actually helps. You
Yeah.
should hold it down. Take care
Hey,
of it. If this is on Instagram or wherever, you definitely should like and comment and follow.
absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like
We'll,
hold it
we'll end
down.
it there. Perfect ending. I appreciate you, man.
All right, bro. Take it easy.
If you made it this far, thank you so much for consuming this entire episode, this 2-hour episode of the Bamcast. As you can tell, Hunter's energy is just infectious. He's always been like that. He's just been a dude that draws other people to him and just entertains endlessly. And whether he's on camera or off camera or in any setting, really, he's just that guy. So it's no wonder that he's had the success that he's had and built the platforms that he's built and the businesses that he's built. And I have no doubts that he's going to go on to do all the same things that he said he was going to do. So I really appreciate you making it this far into the episode. As Hunter said, the only way that this thing is going to grow is by you sharing the show and by you subscribing if you're listening to this on YouTube or watching this on YouTube, or following the show if you're listening on any type of audio platform as well. I appreciate you guys more than you know. If you want to figure out any of Hunter's stuff or find his platforms, that's all linked below. And if you want to look at any of my stuff and support the show on a deeper level, that's all down below as well. Appreciate you guys more than you know. See you next one.